Hello, it's the new year and you want to be a technical writer or level up on your technical writing skills. I've got 6 tips for you that I can guarantee that if you use these tips and apply them, you're going to become a better technical writer. Why? Because I've used these tips over the years and they've made me write articles I've been proud about to share on my socials, or folks have reached out to me because of these articles and say how good the writing was and how knowledgeable I was of the subject. So I'm going to give you these 6 tips and let me know what you think when you use them or what you think about these tips. And if you have other tips you want to share, you could also comment them in this video. So let's get right into it. So tip number 1 is read as much as you can. Let's get the thing. Read as much as you can. All right. So by reading as much as you can, you get a sense of what makes a good technical article and what makes a bad one. So when you're reading, you are doing so you get a sense of how does this article make me feel after I've read them. Do they leave me confused or do they solve the problem I was trying to solve when I reached out to read the articles? So most times you will never know this if you're writing from the point of just your understanding, since you're just starting out, or even if you're a great technical writer, there's so much you can glean from other people's article. So you read articles, you read documentation, and you are measuring and critiquing for your betterment. So whatever article you're reading, you're saying, okay, the words the author is using and the way their style and everything, you are just learning what works and what not to do and what to do. So read as much as you can is tip number 1. So let's go to tip number 2. So tip number 2 is imitate your favorite technical writers. So this is where you have to pick a technical writer that you like their style of writing. Okay. So at this point you imitate. Okay. Imitate technical writers. All right. So at this point, you are looking out for writing styles that appeals to you the most. That when you read these people works, like when you read their works or articles they put out there, you feel, wow, this is great. I want to write like this person. For me, that person is Sarah Drasner. So when I started technical writing some years ago, I loved our articles on CSS tricks, how she wrote and how she can make complex terms or complex concepts seem very simple. I loved it and I imitated that in my writing before I go and found my own voice. So when you're starting out, you want to imitate your favorite technical writers as much as possible, and that only happens when you do tip number 1, right? When you read as much as you can. Okay. So tip number 3, write lots and lots of rubbish. Yes. So when you're starting out, do not stress over how much good the articles you're writing currently are going to be, because you are just starting out. So for each time you write, you get better and better. So that means you have to write a lot. So after reading as much as you can, after imitating your favorite technical writers, you need to also write lots and lots of times. So I did that when I started on Medium. I was just writing. If I solve a problem, I have a thought, I just kept writing and I kept sharing, so I get feedback, and also I could go back to those articles and read them over time. I said, okay, what can I improve? Was this any good? Do I hate it? Do I love it? Do I have mixed feelings about it? All those stuff, you need to go through the process, y'all. So number 3, you have to write a lot. So after reading, after imitating your technical writers, you need to write a whole lot. All right. So let's get on to tip number 4. So tip number 4 is know everything about the subject matter. So I see this a lot with some articles where I'm reading the article and I get the sense that this author does not know what he or she is talking about. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but it feels as if they don't know enough to crystallize their thought or to really teach the subject they're teaching. So for example, if you're teaching, let's say, Vue.js composition API, and you only know the surface of composition API in Vue, you're going to gloss over it, right? And we readers, myself included, especially me, when I'm reading an article and I feel that this author does not really know much of what he or she is talking about, I feel thrown off and I don't want to continue with the article. So you don't want to be that technical writer that your readers will feel like, are you sure you know what you're talking about? No, you don't want to be that person. So spend your time in research mode, learning everything about the subject matter. Nothing else matters at the time you're going to write a piece except the subject you're writing on. So you research, you read other people's take on that subject, you go through comments on forums, just get as much ideas as possible. You go through the docs. If what you're writing on has an official documentation, you go through the documentation because you want to be a master on that subject when you're writing about it. Okay, so know everything about the subject. It is very, very important. Take out your time, research. Do not let your readers rather second guess the choices or the topic you're writing on. Don't let them second guess your grasp about what you're writing on, because you're going to throw them off and they might never want to read you again. All right, so know everything about the subject matter. So let's get to tip number 5. All right, so tip number 5 is add a human touch when possible. All right, so it's technical writing. It's already technical. The terms, the concept, they're already hard. So what your users would not want is for you to make it feel like rocket science using complex jargon and complex grammar, really. So as much as you can, add a human touch when possible. So this go from using simple words and using relatable scenarios and examples that folks can relate with. And also, you should be able to add humor as much as possible when you can. Okay, so I do know it will take a little bit of art and a little bit of technique to know when and how to do that subtly, but when you find that out, you will see. So when, if I'm a user on your article and it's a very complex topic and I'm going through it and you put in some human touch, I would feel a little bit at ease when I'm reading going forward. Even though this thing is complex, I know, okay, this writer is writing from a perspective of a person, not too much of jargons and complex technical terms. So as much as you can, try to use simple words, and when you are explaining concepts or giving examples or analogies, use simple and relatable scenarios. So it's very important you add that human touch because you're writing for humans, right? So add that human touch as much as possible. Put yourself in the shoes of your readers to make sure that you can communicate as best as possible, but you are also communicating to a human. So that is very, very important. And tip number 6 is craft a catchy description. All right, so the description for your article or your opener or your intro, whatever you want to call it, is what's going to hook in the reader to say, okay, this might be what I'm looking for. So craft a catchy description. So you want to be able to hook your readers from the first intro. Okay, so it might be like a problem statement or what the article is about in a relatable way, in a human way, in a more humane way as possible. So if I'm looking for, like for example, on a Google search, I say how to center a div, you could start off with a very good opener that will tell what the article is going to be about when the person reads the article. So from your intro or your description, even in search engine, when they're searching for articles or for way to solve their problems, the description is going to pop up. So if your description is not descriptive enough to signal to the reader that, hey, these articles could solve your problem, they're not going to click through. All right, so you want to craft a catchy description. It's an art, so you get that by reading so many people article and just getting a feel of why this article work or why you clicked on an article in the first place when you are looking to solve a problem yourself. All right, so it's very important. All these tips, I guarantee, if you apply them, you're going to level up on your technical writing skill, or you're going to get started on a very strong foot that you know all the 6 things you should do. So let's take a recap on all of them. Number one, read as much as you can. You cannot trade this for anything. Every day, read at least 2 or 3 articles, diverse articles, not just technical ones, or read something. Read a book, so you improve both your grammar and your storytelling. All right, because people love a good story, so you need to know how to tell stories by reading as much as you can. Number two, imitate your favorite technical writers. All right, like your favorite technical writers, the writers that you admire a lot, that the works you share on Twitter or whatever, or the work you always go through when you have a problem in your chosen field or topic, like maybe React or Vue or whatever you're studying. Imitate those style of writing before you find your own voice, so that way you get a sense of how to write great articles from the get-go. All right. Number three, write rubbish. Do not expect that your first article is going to be a blast and people are going to love it. Chances are the first one is going to be terrible, and that's okay because you are learning. So when you know better, you're going to do better. So keep writing, keep refining your skills, keep getting better. Number four, know everything about the subject. This one is very, very much important to me because I do not want to see an article where I second guess that the writer does not know the topic enough to teach it. So know everything about the subject, put on your researcher hat, and learn everything there is to know about the subject. Don't write everything in the article, but learn everything. So I feel like, okay, you are holding back because you know too much of it. I just want to distill the one I want to, like the one that is titled or the information that is relevant to me in this article. To know everything about the subject matter. If you're writing about, I don't know, um, hooks in React, know everything about hooks. Everything, not just the surface, know everything about the subject. Number five, add a human touch when possible. You are writing for humans, so less technical jargons. Most documentation or articles that I don't like are the ones where it feels as if it's a run through of just jargon words and complex explanation that doesn't even make any sense. All right, so make sure you are writing simply. All right, keep it super simple. It's very important. The subject might be technical, but I'm coming to you because I don't understand this. I don't understand the subject, so I'm not coming to get more confused. I'm coming for a solution. So make sure your writing is written for humans. Okay, so keep a human touch, put humor in there when possible, and make it very, very relatable. And number six, craft a catchy description. It's very important you craft a catchy description because this is going to show up in your SEO, in search engines, and also when you share the article on social media. So that should be a hook to bring the readers to click on your article, or even when they open the article, the first paragraph, the intro statement should be strong enough to let them want to scroll through to read what you are writing. So that's it. 6 tips that I guarantee will make you a better technical writer if you apply them today. And let me know what you think in the comments, or if you have more tips. And also, if you like tips like this and other web dev content, I'm going to be making a whole lot more. So you could subscribe and hit the notification bell below and look out for more high quality tips, technical content on technical writing, JavaScript, web dev in general.